What's funny about this? I was such a huge Gilmore Girls fan growing up. Like, you don't understand. I was obsessed. That was my favorite show ever. I was obsessed. Like, put it in perspective for you. Like, on the cookbook, like, what's obsessed with Gilmore Girls? And when A Year in the Life came out, I was like, oh my God, it's time to rewatch Gilmore Girls. I can't believe I haven't rewatched it in so long. It's time to rewatch it. And I started rewatching it from the beginning. And every, like, minimum an episode, I kept being like, ooh, ooh. And as I was rewatching it and seeing it from like the perspective of an adult, like now that my brain has like, developed, I was like, wow, this has aged terribly. I was just like, was this always this bad? No, now that I see things through like a smarter lens, the writing on Gilmore Girls is horrendous. Just like the comedy and the dialogue of it all, right? Like Gilmore Girls to me was always a fun show, but it was considered a comedy, and Gilmore Girls to me was never really that funny. I just felt like it was more of a comfort show, and they couldn't label it a drama because it wasn't dramatic enough. But Gilmore Girls was never really a comedy. It was very rarely actually funny. Which was, I knew that the first time I watched it. The first time I was watching it live, never thought it was funny. It never made me laugh. But I still liked it because I just thought it was like a fun watch. So my critique isn't when I say the writing is horrendous. I'm not even talking about dialogue. Dialogue and the pace in which they speak at. And like I know some people have a problem with that. And like how it's a little bit cheesy and corny. That didn't bother that much. It's the actual plot and the characters. Both Lorelai and Rory are very bad people. And I feel like the show doesn't put enough emphasis on that. Like, it doesn't feel like they're intentionally bad people. Like the girls on girls are kind of bad people, but it's very intentional. It's purposeful, right? Like throughout the show is never begging you to like them, is never begging you to root for them. If anything, I would argue that Lena Dunham in her writing purposely made them as unlikable as possible. Like it was intentional. It helps to tell the story. Girls are supposed to represent the worst in us as women, right? And they're supposed to be our worst qualities, specifically about being young women, right? And how self-centered and egotistic you all are. We all are, not to exclude myself from that, right? This idea that that's what being in your early 20s is about. It's this idea that you believe the world revolves around you, that your needs and your wants are the most important thing in the entire world. And kind of growing up is about putting yourself into perspective. Growing up is about realizing, oh my God, I'm really irrelevant. It's purposeful and intentional writing. The characters are intentionally unlikable. Gilmore Girls, Rory and Lorelai are always painted out to be the heroes, but the more you watch the show, the more it's like, you two are the fucking worst. And the show never really acknowledges that. So much about the show, and again, what attracted me to it was this mother-daughter relationship, right? And how envious I was about how close her and the mother and the daughter were, right? And how I wish every mother-daughter relationship was like that. And I was so envious of what they had. And then watching it back as an adult, it's like, Lorelai, you were kind of a terrible mother, huh? In actuality, had you been a better mother, Rory wouldn't have turned out to be such a fucking loser. As a mom, you actually shouldn't be best friends with your daughter. Who could have thought? Your relationship with your daughter is wildly inappropriate and it lacks boundaries and structure. And because since she was a kid, you treated her like she was your bestie and you treated her like she was a grown adult and told her your business when you really shouldn't have, right? Is the reason why then when she became an adult, she was stuck in this arrested development of being deeply immature and unprepared for the real world. Understand how poorly written a show has to be that Emily, who was the obvious antagonist of the show, by the time that you finish rewatching it, it's like, I don't know, maybe Emily is right. Like, I don't know, Emily's kind of the only person in the show who makes any sense. If you're gonna make a show entitled Gilmore Girls, and it's obviously a show about three generations of women, of a family of women, right? You would think that it would do a better job kind of dealing with generational trauma, dealing with this idea of like trying to fight against becoming your mother, right? Also dealing with this idea of trying to understand your mother. And I think the show is so lazy, it never bothers doing any of that. At least not in a way that feels real. It never bothers at making a serious attempt of making Emily human. She just has to be the villain the entire time. Lorelai is this can't do wrong angel who the show never bothers to really properly critique. Like Lorelai's character to me never develops and becomes a better person, and obviously a self-insert, right, from one of the writers. Hence why they refuse to really openly critique her correctly. And then Rory's character develops, but she just becomes an entirely worse person. But it does, which is okay that that happens on shows. But like usually it's done purposefully, and it's not. It feels like they accidentally made her a bad person. For the sake of nostalgia and the way that how much it meant to me when I was younger, I stopped maybe around season 3 or 4 and was like, okay, that's enough. And every single time I get reminded of the show and stuff that happened on the show, I'm just like, I could, you know what I mean? But like genuinely a horrendously written show, like terrible, terrible. Like I would give it a D minus.